Hello everybody, welcome to Fronius webinar. I hope you all can hear me. Could you please raise your hand so that I can, yeah, thank you very much. Thanks Yama for responding. Thanks everybody. Yeah, so today's webinar is about Fronius Tauro. So just a moment, sorry, I was not in the presentation mode. Yeah, I hope now you can see my presentation only. So today's webinar is about the introduction to the Fronius Tauro, long-awaited one. Some of you might have already heard some more detailed informations or other webinars. Still, this can be informative for you where there can be new information added. Welcome everybody. So let's go into the presentation straight. So far, I know that you have been using Fronius SIMO 10 to 20 kilowatt inverters and Fronius Echo 25 to 27 kilowatt inverters. Please, when you have question, please type it in the chat and then I will try to answer after the presentation, or if not possible, I will answer by email or call directly. Yeah. So far you have been using Fronius SIMO bigger inverters and Fronius Echo for your commercial projects. But now we have this Fronius Tauro and Fronius Echo. I guess you already can see the similarities between Tauro and the SIMO and Tauro Echo and the Fronius Echo. If not, this Tauro is a 50 kilowatt inverter with the MPPT voltage range from 400 to 870 volts. That's the MPPT voltage. Maximum voltage is of course 1000 volt. Yeah. And this Tauro has 3 MPP trackers like our SIMO. SIMO has 2, it's multiple MPP tracker inverter. Tauro has 3. But when it comes to Fronius Tauro Echo, it's either 50 kilowatt or 100 kilowatt inverter, and the MPPT voltage range is 580 volt to 930 volt. The maximum voltage is 1000 volt DC, but this is the MPPT voltage range. If you recognize this short range of MPPT voltage, it's similar to the Fronius Echo. That's why we named this Fronius Tauro Echo. It's economical and also environmental, and yeah. So why? We will see the reasons in the upcoming slides. There are many other possibilities. It's not only Tauro and Tauro Echo. There are like direct version, pre-combined version, and there are options like AC disconnector built in the inverter, or like a AC DC chaining where you can connect the AC side up to 200 kilowatt. So there are many options are available. We call this Fronius as a hot shell smart core. There is reason why we call it hot shell and also the smart core. We'll see one by one. This is what is so special about Tauro. It's very robust for unprotected outdoor area. We have installed many pre-series in multiple places around the globe, like Australia, Austria, Greece, and we have been testing this system for a year, more than a year now, and they are doing really great. All of them are IP65 protected, so you can install them directly outside in sun and wind and rain. When I say sun, there is a reason. The front wall is double layered. And what else? This inverter has a design flexibility. As I mentioned, there are a lot of options available. You can use this for projects like where you use a centralized topology, decentralized topology, and we will see in detail in the upcoming slides about these topologies. And it is very easy to install, but remember it's heavy, like from 90 kilograms to 105 kilogram. Depends on which inverter you are buying. So please be sure that you are 2%, at least 2% installing. It is not advisable for one person. I think it's 2 or 3% you can install this inverter, but it's easy because you do not have many restrictions when it comes to installation location selection. And it's easy and fast service. How? There are many components inside where you can change by just one person, and also you can change up to, even the power stack can be changed by one person, and the communication part and everything is very easy. We will see very detailed in the later slides. Hardware for the system monitoring on board. Yes, unfortunately you cannot see in this picture, but of course you can find the pictures and data sheet available in our website, where you can see it's the same hardware we used for Gen 24 without a display, but we call it pilot. So there is 2 LEDs which shows the production of the inverter, and other one shows the communication, if the communication is active or not. And last but not least, you can save a lot of BOS cost with the AC DC chaining, and also with the P and D option, pre-combined and direct versions, and even with the AC inbuilt AC disconnector options. So Fronius Tauro, this is the one we saw in the first place. It's the MPP Tracker 3 version, and it's only 50 kilowatt, and the MPPT voltage range is wider. Yeah, and the Echo, it's 50 or 100, but the MPPT voltage range is short. Please pay close attention when you design a system. And it has only one MPP tracker, but both of them are IP65, so you don't have to worry. So installation location and installation restrictions all are almost typical for all the Tauro and Tauro Echo inverters. Fronius believes that it is very important to always have the daily challenges as well as concerns of our customer in mind. We therefore paid close attention to the requests and suggestions for improvements from our customers and partners all over the world. And from these suggestions, our new commercial inverter was born. During development, we took our time and carefully explored every single detail of the product design. At Fronius, we place great importance on a long service life and quality, which is reflected in our new commercial inverter. The Fronius Tauro has a solid and durable quality that ensures a long service life, and it is very, very compact inverter of its power class, we believe. As an inverter, it is often exposed to the extreme weather condition. We came up with something special for Tauro product housing, where the front wall is double layered. So you can directly put this inverter towards sun. It doesn't matter. It can produce its highest efficiency even when it is placed on the sunlight directly. There is a 2 front wall in the inverter, and in between there'll be a forced air going through to cool the inverter. So when you have close look into the versions of Tauro Echo inverter, we have, as I mentioned, we have Tauro Echo D. D is for direct DC connection. There in this inverter, it is used for decentralized topology. That is, you want to place the inverter as close as possible to the panels. Yeah, and then you will bring long AC cable to the AC panel and transformer. So in this Tauro D version, Tauro Echo D version, you will have MC4 plugs in the bottom of the inverter. If it is 50 kilowatt, then it's 14 strings possible. If it is 100, then it's 22 strings. And of course, string level monitoring is possible. And then there is a place for string fuses as an option integrated inside this inverter, because if you know, it depends on the panel. When you have more than 2 strings, or sometimes when you, even if you have 2 strings, you need string fuses. So there is space for string fuses inside the inverter you can use. In the pre-combined version, Tauro Echo P, we call pre-combined. These versions are used for more centralized topology. Centralized means like you want to put PV panels in a separate place, and then you will bring all the DC cables to the place where all the inverters are placed in a centralized way, yeah, near to the AC panel or transformers. This version of inverter has DC space for the DC cable, because normally you will use the DC connection box to bring the strings together, and then you can bring the DC cable to the inverter like 3 times up to 900 square millimeter. And there'll be a space inside the inverter with the V clamps where you can connect these combined DC strings. Yeah. What is the advantage? Like there is no additional, like in the direct connection DC version, there is no additional DC component necessary, like DC combiner, fusing space, or SPDs, because these inverters comes with the DC SPD type 2 as a standard. If you want, you can buy type 1+2. Please, for the details about the options, you can always talk to your sales partners where you buy the inverter. Then you can ask for what is the standard version and what is the options available for each versions. There are many options available. Please pay attention to it. If you have any questions, you can always reach me. I will help you to figure out what is possible for your product. Then you can go to your sales partner and order it. Yeah. And then in this version, low DC losses and additional advantages here with the decentralized topology is it's a flexibility, because DC string fuses inside the inverter reduced installation effort, because directly it's a MC4 plug you can connect, and there is no DC combiners, cabling, etc., and string monitor is possible. How do you differentiate a D version? By seeing it. If you look at the picture, the left side picture is the bottom of the inverter, and the right side you can see the full inverter. So you can see 2 times DC disconnector switches in the D version, and then there are 14. It's a 50 kilowatt Tauro Echo inverter, so you have 14 MC4 connections, like 14 strings, MC4 plugs for 14 strings. And then on the right side of the bottom, in the left picture, right side, you can see there are options for 2 times 5 AC cables, which means if you are ordering for a project, like for a project, if you need AC DC chaining, if you are going to connect the inverters on the AC side and bring just one cable from the inverter to the panel, LT panel, then you have to mention it before, so that you will get space with the AC cable clans for 2 times 2 ACs. And then if you look into the central topology, it has its own advantage. No DC connection when it comes to cost advantage. No DC connection kit necessary. Onboard V clamps in our P version of inverter, and inverter cost low euro per watt. And then of course you need to do the long DC cables after the combiner box. And the power advantage is like the high DC voltage. The long DC cable is coming with a high DC voltage, so there will be low DC losses. And then further, there is a flexibility. There are options for 3 times 90 square millimeter cable inlets, and V clamps. It's easy for installing DC cabling inside the inverter. So and then longer cabling is possible. How do you differentiate the inverter when you see it? You can see there are in the 100 kilowatt pre-combined version of Tauro Echo, you can see 3 DC disconnector switches in the front. And then if you look into the bottom, the picture, bottom right picture, you can see the AC cable gland. It's just 1 times single core options. And then on the left side of the bottom left side picture, you can see the integrated V clamps inside the inverter for the DC. Yeah, what is AC DC chaining? I was mentioning in the previous slides. With the special AC connection area, it is possible to connect up to multiple inverter so that you don't have to bring AC cable from each inverter to the ACLT panel. So how many inverters you can connect? You can connect up to 200 kilowatt of inverters, which means 2 times 100 kilowatt Tauro Echo, or it can be 4 times 50 kilowatt Tauro Echo. So in this case, there is a cost advantage. There is no AC combiner box necessary up to 200 kilowatt, and then low cabling cost, the cable length, and only one AC fuse for 200 kilowatt is enough. When it comes to the power advantage, as you know, there will be low AC losses, and then further less installation effort, and it's highly flexible design. Smart hardware. Yeah, I mentioned that hard shell smart core. So if you look, this picture is the interior of the connection part of the inverter. There is a space for the DIN rail. There is a space for additional components. If you want to install any meters or third-party monitoring devices, you can fit here. And then you have this optional SPDs available. You can choose based on your need in your country. And then there is a space for the AC to AC chaining. There is additional space where you can put if you want a AC to AC chaining option, then we will place another V clamps, so where you can connect the AC cable for the next inverter. And then optional in the bottom left corner, you can see the optional fuses. And now you see the naming of the picture. So there is fusing option for 15 amps, and then bottom you can see MC4 connector, but in case if it is a pre-combined version, you will have V clamps. So I know it's a little bit challenge in the beginning to differentiate from one system to other, but when we want to give you flexible system design, there are certain challenges we have to face. I think over the time you will overcome. So it's in the beginning it can be a little bit confusing with the options: Tauro Echo, direct version, pre-combined version, V clamps, or AC DC chaining option with AC DC chaining, without AC DC chaining, with type 1 plus 2 SPDs, with AC combiner, AC disconnector inbuilt. There can be multiple versions, which leads to some confusion, but I'm very certain that over the period we will overcome it. Yeah. So hard shell double wall. So we have this active cooling system. If you see the picture in the top, that's the blue arrow marks shows the cool air which is going into the fan. This is the top view of the inverter or cross section, and then these red top view, cross section of top view. This red arrow marks shows the direction of hot air flown or forced air going through the inverter. As you can see, this is in between the two walls on the right side, in between the two front walls, there will be a forced air cooling. So there'll be maximum production despite of the heat. And then it's maintenance free, no fan cleaning or fan exchange is necessary, and there is no direct contact between cooling air and the electronic components. So it is separated, well separated. And then Fronius always believe the active cooling technology. Now this active cooling combined with the double wall, it's the best heat transportation we have seen in the market. So this inverter has fullest performance up to 50 degrees Celsius. And then from 50 degree, there will be a power D rating. Please pay close attention to our data sheet where you can read more about this power D rating after 50 degree. And then it provides, whenever you use active cooling, it provides longer service life of components and the device. System design. Well, how do I design my system with Fronius Tauro inverter? Where do I do it? Well, if you are aware of Fronius Solar.configurator tool, it's an online tool with the basic designing functionalities. You can already find these Fronius Tauro inverters in this tool. So please, if you haven't seen this, just go to Fronius Solar.configurator and try Fronius Tauro inverter, and you can calculate all possible designs with the different string combinations. As you know, it provide the I will go to the next slide. Yeah, so if you choose the Tauro in the inverter type, you can see the different possibilities with all the strings or all the panel combinations it will provide. And if it is external or third-party design system like PV Solar or PVSys, they are already providing information with the Tauro inverter, so you can already calculate the yield, and radiation simulation is possible for the entire system with this PV Solar and PVSys software. Why is it only PV Solar and PVSys we are recommending? Because we are sure that they are actively maintained by us. Inverter data are always up to date in their system. Of course, if you can use other external program like PV Scout, Plan for Solar, or Polysun, etc. Many systems are available, but please then look for the possible options. It could be overlooked there. Because different program use different inverter data for their calculations. So please make sure you're using, if you're using other than PV Solar or PVSys, please double check if you're choosing the right product and see if they are up to date. Yeah, as I mentioned, when it comes to our own system, Fronius Solar.configurator, it's pretty easy. You can choose the panel type and then panel manufacturer and panel model, and then you can choose number of modules. Then it will provide already the list of possible combination. Like for example, in the picture there is an example shown, like for 374 modules or with 391 modules, it will go on. So like that. Normally in this solar configurator, the inverter ratio is minimum chosen as 80 and the maximum as 120. Of course, you can change this. You can change this by yourself to 150. The maximum DC possibility with the 100 kilowatt is 150 kilowatt DC. So, and then whenever you choose a particular combination, then it will provide more information about the MPPT voltage at different temperatures, and then different string combinations, and about the current information. So these details can be further downloaded as a report, and also you can see the datasheet there itself. The inverter details, you can download the datasheet directly. Installation, well, you already are familiar with Fronius inverter. If not, you always receive this installation quick guide with the inverter. Also, you can download installation instruction from our website. I'll just give a quick overview. For example, it's okay to install this indoor and outdoor, and also direct sun is possible with this double wall front door concept, and the elevation detail up to 4000 meter. Please do not install this where you have a dangerous gas or like a lot of dust in the industrial area or in an animal husbandry or in a living room, things like that. Please read it in our installation manual and pay close attention. Positioning of inverter, of course, you can put it on wall or you can put it on floor. If you see the picture, you can see the mounting handles can be used as a stand when you are installing this inverter on the floor. Of course, tilted installation is possible horizontally. On the right side, you can see there are possibilities where you should not install the inverter in the inverted position or like a vertical position or tilting position. Please do not do such installations. And when it comes to the mounting location and site selection, please note and provide enough space between the inverters, and also around the area should be clear minimum 50 centimeter, like on top, on the left side and right side, and also the bottom of the inverter. And if it is it can be installed from -40 degrees to 65 degrees, and if it is with an optional AC disconnect inbuilt, then the temperature is a little bit reduced to -25 degrees to 65 degrees. So always it is safe to contact or read the manual fully, or contact the tech support or me and ask if it is okay to install here. Like in your project, you can give a specific project and ask our experts' opinion always for the first few projects. I would highly recommend that. How do you commission? Well, it's simple and same like the Gen 24. Do not have a display, and the pilot is same like the Gen 24 device. You can commission this using the Fronius Solar app. Of course, you can commission this in your laptop using a browser, web browser. That's also possible. It's same like the Gen 24. You have to provide the network connections, and then later you have to choose the product setup where you will provide the information about the country code and grid settings, and if there is any additional devices like home pilot or smart meter installed, things like that. And then the third will be the SolarWeb. How do you want to monitor which SolarWeb account you should connect to, this kind of information. It's same like the Gen 24. Of course, there will be a webinar in future, and also e-trainings will be available in future about very detailed information on how to commissioning this. Yeah. Data communication, as I mentioned, it's the same pilot you see in the Gen 24. Maybe some of you already seen, or some of you already not. This is the pilot. It has two LED status indicator, one for the power production and other for the communication. And of course, there are possibilities for two Ethernet connection and Modbus, two Modbus RTU interfaces available in the orange plugs, and also there are digital IOs available. Unless like the previous version of Data Manager 2, we have more digital IOs options in this pilot, and also we have a wired shutdown function available. And there is an USB port available, but it's just for the power supply for your router, Wi-Fi router. If you have any Wi-Fi router, small Wi-Fi router, you can use this for power supply. Yeah, so this is the detailed picture or the front view of the pilot. As I mentioned, this orange plug has this, you can already read this here. On the left side, this is a wide shutdown function plug, and then the middle one is the Modbus connection with Modbus 0 and Modbus 1. And there is a switch, Modbus switch in the top for terminal resistance. You can turn off or on based on your combination of inverter connections. And then right side, you can see the orange plug with the digital IOs. Sorry that I cannot go very detailed and explain all these things in this webinar, but I can just give you some idea about what are all the things available here. When it comes to service, maybe this picture is not very clear. We will see more detailed information or training when the product is launched. When is the product available? That's please contact your sales partners for availability of the product or ordering the product. And this, yeah, so this picture you can see left side, you can open. Right side, normally with this Tauro, on the right side there is the connection panel part, and the left side is the power stack. And when you open the left side, you can also exchange the power stack by a single person. So it's very easy servicing. As soon as you receive an error code in SolarWeb, you can troubleshoot remotely or trying to update the software remotely, or please contact tech support for troubleshooting. And then if there is necessary, you can do an exchange, and just you don't have to be a team or 2-3 person like other inverters. You can be just one person going to the site to change even the power stack. It's less than 30 kilograms. So pilot exchange is also possible, or exchanging SPDs, whatever. When it comes to exchanging a component in the Tauro inverter, it's just one person on site. You don't have to be a team. And with the Tauro 100 kilowatt, there are 2 power stacks. Even in case if there is anything wrong with one power stack, still this inverter will produce half with the other power stack. It will produce 50 kilowatt with the good power stack. So there are 2 power stacks available. So you can provide a fast and easy servicing to your customer. Imagine a plant with 10 or 20 Tauros. You can already have maybe 1 or 2 power stacks in your stock. So in case something goes wrong, you can immediately troubleshoot and exchange it, and then later you can order a power stack. So you can, by this way, you can reduce the downtime. So you don't have to wait for some experts come on site and do a troubleshooting. You can easily do the troubleshooting by yourself, and you can easily exchange by one person. So reducing the downtime is very important. Providing a quick service is very important for your customer. So easy exchange. Thanks. I hope you all enjoyed the webinar today.